Welcome back to AI. That's Artist Interview, not Artificial Intelligence. This is a show where we interview artists. Joining us today is singer-songwriter and performance artist Clare Simpson of Speculum Bunny, Velvet Vulva, and Vernix. Clare, thank you for being with us today. How are you?
Thank you. Hi, I'm really good. Thanks very much for having me. I'm good, yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So I have a series of questions for you. The goal of this show is to allow listeners to get to know you a little better, as well as share any of your work, upcoming projects, and new releases, some of which we will showcase between questions. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Who is Clare Simpson?
I think at the core of everything, I'm a musician. But I've got many different hats, I suppose, that I like to wear, and I think all of those hats help me to kind of eke out different archetypes probably within myself. So they're not. I think they're not so much as like masks or characters. They are like big parts of myself that I suppose that the creative process is such an amazing gift that we're able to embody these like maybe hidden parts of ourselves in performative ways. But yeah, I live in Glasgow in Scotland, and do lots of different things. I'm a yoga teacher. I do sound healing, photography, filmmaking. Always trying to sort of find new ways of expressing myself. Really, really enjoying where I'm at the moment in my creative process.
Do you have any current projects or new releases?
Yeah, as you said, I go under the different names Speculum Bunny, Velvet Vulva, and Vernix. So Speculum Bunny is a kind of darker noise project, which is kind of like my main thing. I've got Velvet Vulva, which is like a kind of clown character, which I kind of view as more of a maiden archetype, whereas Speculum Bunny is kind of like the mother. And she is a lot more like kind of harsh noise with a lot of quite sort of tortured lullaby, kind of David Lynch type of vibe that I'm going for. I also do a lot of filmmaking through Velvet Vulva as well. And lastly, I've got my band, which I've played in a band for about 20 years, but this flavour of the band is quite new. So we're quite sort of like doom folk, but we're just getting started. We've got a gig in January at the Old Hairdressers in Glasgow. New material wise, I'm working on Hell's Teeth 2 for Speculum Bunny, which will be released next year. And also I'm working on an album for Velvet Vulva, and a photo book which will coincide with that album also, which will be out next year too. Lots of things.
Coming up on our first song, we have Cold in My Bones by If You Lived Here, You'd Be Home by Now.
We've gone deaf.
Think of me, don't turn away. I'm much too selfish for you to stay. I'm sorry.
So this song was a song that I wrote when I was about 24, I think, and played it with my band who were called If You Lived Here, You'd Be Home by Now. It's probably one of the songs that I'm most proud of. And the piano part is something that I am continuously sort of coming back to and have resurrected in various points in my musical career. And yeah, it's probably quite a structured, in my head anyway, it's quite structured in comparison to the music that I do now.
What is your earliest musical memory?
Earliest musical memory? I think that none of my family are particularly musical, but we were shown a lot of musicals when we were younger. So quite a lot of quite theatrical stuff, which I feel like has influenced a lot of my work now. So a lot of Barbra Streisand, Liza Minnelli, cabaret, stuff that's quite emotive and quite dramatic. And then also listen to a lot of Queen. So I'm a huge Queen fan, huge Freddie Mercury fan. And yeah, I think those are probably my first kind of musical influences. And my mum sent me to keyboard lessons, I think, when I was 8. And I don't know if I hadn't gone to those keyboard lessons, I'm not sure how that would even have informed the rest of my life sort of subsequently. I think that had a huge impact on me, and then started to teach myself the piano in my kind of early teens, and developed quite a sort of unique style of playing the piano, which I still have now. Yeah.
What's the first record you bought with your own money?
Hard to remember, but I think it was something like All Saints the first album, maybe, which I still love, and I think that their whole kind of vibe was pretty cool. Looking back, I want to say it was something like really obscure or really cool, but I think it was like, yeah, All Saints. I mean, I love pop music and especially girl bands and stuff still. So, yeah.
Next up, we have I'm Not Cute, I'm Disgusting by Speculum Bunny.
When I was really young, I went on holiday, and there was a band, and we went a little something like this!
So I think this is maybe the first song that I wrote for Speculum Bunny, I think. And that would have been just over 2 years ago. I think my intention with Speculum Bunny and why it's called I'm Not Cute, I'm Disgusting is that I was really trying to sort of play with the idea that of the sort of rejection of being cute or pretty or kind of like that kind of thing. So I just wanted to sort of really eke out the disgusting parts of myself, or really play with like being that kind of line between being like a bit like repulsive, but also perhaps make people uncomfortable, but do it in a way that you couldn't help but look kind of thing. So play with that kind of fine line between kind of being cute and pretty, but also pretty bogging at the same time. And I think my intention with Speculum Bunny was to speak to a lot of the traumatic parts of myself, or my own kind of trauma and things like that, and be able to speak about that and almost like poke fun at it and make it into this sort of spectacle. But I think eventually I kind of ran out of that. And well, I think just that the album I'm Not Cute, I'm Disgusting, which this track is on, I think that speaks for that as a piece. But yeah, I was just going for it. I think after playing in a band for quite a long time, and yeah, I think probably just wanting to suit myself in quite a lot of ways, and just explore and make crazy noises that I'd wanted to do for a long time. So I think probably initially really wrote all of that for myself, like almost trying to shock myself, and then yeah, and I just kept evolving after that. So this is a really important track for me.
Take us through your songwriting process. Do you do lyrics or music first, or do you come up with a concept or feeling, or do you jam until you find something and then write that down?
Yeah, I think I do like all of those things. And it's just, I've done all of those things at different points in life. I think that there have been times where I've had some music and then I would maybe write the words to it, or the words first and then the music would come after, or it just all comes out in a oneer. Yeah. What I've done, I think twice. I've got 2 albums, Seven Suns 1, Seven Suns 2, which I did over the summer solstice in 2 subsequent years. So that was quite an interesting process, because I did have to just come up with everything at once and then not become overly attached to the result. So it was quite a helpful process in just like doing it without judgment and just kind of creating it in the moment. So that was a kind of like just a kind of vomit of whatever happened that day was just what it was. Or I have, done like Hell's Teeth, which was, I think, maybe took me around a year to write the whole thing. And that's something that I was really, I considered every part, at length, as opposed to just putting it out there. So I think that there's a lot of value in being able to just explore all of the ways that you might approach, and not having for me anyway, not being stuck in any particular way. But I think that what I do always try and do is to sort of cultivate a headspace that is kind of open, and really trying to get into the zone. So that probably would include like ways of like grounding myself, emptying my mind of, the kind of the real world, so I'm able to access parts of my brain that I would maybe only really engage when being creative. And I think treating writing music as a kind of ritual is helpful. So for me, making sure that like my flat was clean, I maybe had a bath, and like I was just like ready. That's probably a bigger part of my process rather than the way it's sort of done.
What's something that you've learned about yourself during the process of becoming who you are as an artist?
I suppose that I've learned how dark I am inside, but also how light I am as well. I think that I've definitely got a sense of the range of human emotion, I think, and just how important it is, as an artist, to really go there, and I think go to the darker parts as well as the lighter parts. Because it's, I suppose in a lot of ways, it's, things like shadow work, and when we can allow ourselves to embody these parts of ourselves, then I think ultimately a lot of healing can potentially take place. it also has reminded me, it consistently reminds me to not take things too seriously as well. So I think the moments that I catch myself worrying about what other people think of my music, what's going to happen, the result, then I feel like I've gone too far into my own ego, perhaps. So I think ultimately it's a lesson in, I suppose, being really authentic to yourself, and not and enjoying the process ultimately over the result, and also how it's perceived, because these things, I suppose, there is an element of just not having control over those, but you have control over your own process.
Next up is Wand of Love by Speculum Bunny.
So this track was on Seven Sons 2, and I think that with the first Seven Sons, I think all the tracks began with a V, and I think with this, or maybe it's the other way around, I think this album, they all began with a W, that's right. And I was really struggling for what to call this one. And I was like, what's the name for a vibrator that begins with W? And I found Wand of Love, and I thought that was pretty cool.
What are your top 4 albums?
Okay. So this is a hard question, but it's also quite nice for it to be so succinct. So first album that I think the first album where I was like, I really got into music, and an album that would be Harvest by Neil Young. I saw Neil Young perform when I was 16, I think, and he has been quite a big influence on me. And I think getting into Harvest really opened up a lot of doors in my mind, and I started to get into a lot of more other kinds of folk music. I got really into writing lyrics around this sort of time as well. So maybe not the typical teenager listening to Neil Young, but and then I started to get into playing the guitar and learning Heart of Gold. Started playing the harmonica as well, and started to do a lot more like open mic nights around Glasgow and things eventually. So that one, I just love how it's recorded. It's so like open, and it's definitely one of the albums that I always come back to. It's very sort of cinematic sounding, and his voice is just really beautiful. Second album, which is my favorite album ever, is Ocean Songs by the Dirty Three. I think this album would probably save my life. I think it's kind of beyond liking it musically. I think it's like so ingrained in just in me, and I think in memory as well. I've got a lot of memories around this album. I saw them play a couple of weeks ago, and they played a few tracks off this album. It was just absolutely amazing. And it's definitely like an album. If I'm having a rough time or something, then I would put that on and just listen to the whole thing. And it is like medicine. It's just, it's incredible. Thirdly, is the live, I think it's 1981 to 1982 Birthday Party album. I'm a huge Nick Cave fan. He's one of my biggest influences, kind of voice-wise, and the Birthday Party are just so visceral, and they're so like there's just everything sounds like it's just like hanging together and so nasty sounding that there's nothing that's really been like them. Since I just think they're one of my favorite bands and terrifying. And I think his delivery in the Birthday Party is just beyond. It's just perfect. And they just sound so gnarly and so like yuck that I think they're incredible. And fourthly, I've chosen one that's like a new album. I don't really listen to much new music. I tend to just kind of be quite stuck in my ways, listening to the things that I like. But over this year, my fourth album is I'm Camera by Sophia Isela. I saw her play earlier this year, and it was just her presence and her voice and her songwriting skills, but also mainly her lyrics. It was just something else, and I really wish that she'd been around when I was younger. I think she's got an amazing message. So yeah, but yeah, top album is Ocean Songs by Dirty Three.
Do you have any favorite movies or series?
I find it hard to sit still a lot of the time, so I haven't really got any particular series that I watch. I think I found it being quite busy, but I really like Japanese horror films, and I think because they're so almost so visceral and so kind of like body orientated and just very though I think I went through a spell of watching a lot of, I love The Ring. I went through a wee spell of watching a lot of those types of movies, and I think they're probably the ones that I would go back to and definitely had the biggest influence on me. Yeah.
Now we have Le Petit Mort by Speculum Bunny.
So this track is on Hell's Teeth. And I think there's two tracks on Hell's Teeth which are piano based. And that was just a little kind of riff that I came up with, and then I combined that with some sort of grumbly, low screamy type vocals. I'm a big dungeon synth fan, and it's a genre that I've only recently discovered over the last couple of years. But the types of dungeon synths that I like are very kind of sparse with screaming over the top. So this was my kind of version of that.
Do you have any advice for either a younger you or younger artists trying to discover themselves and make it as artists?
So I think the way that you can make it as an artist is probably being the most authentically yourself. I think it probably ties back to when you're considering, being perceived, the result, where it's going to go, then being able to take a step back and think, am I being true to myself is the most important more important than, kind of like the success that we might say, I don't know, like selling, like how many albums you sell, or if you're in any way going to make any money out of doing music, which seems to be pretty impossible in the world that we're in at the moment. But yeah, creating your own world and making that as safe as possible for you to exist in, by being the most authentic version of yourself, I think. I suppose when I was younger making music, there wasn't social media. So I think it's important to have a community, although that could be online now, I suppose. But going to things, I think I used to go to a lot of open mic nights, and met some really nice people. And yeah, just I think playing with other musicians has been really helpful. And the more that you are true to yourself, the more that you're going to attract your people as well. So yeah, maybe just putting yourself in uncomfortable situations that might take you out of your comfort zone as well, and then you might find that you'll meet people that are like-minded, and yeah, just going for it and being as consistent as you possibly can, trying new things, and yeah, just always looking for ways to expand on your creative process. And yeah, just keep going and never giving up. And I suppose, yeah, as many tools as you can bring to your process, the better. So maybe like finding out the basics of how to record, which is all very easy now because you can do a lot of it on your phone. So you can record yourself, and being, I suppose, as self-sufficient as you possibly can is very helpful in kind of where we are musically just now, because I think to be, on social media, you kind of need to be able to record your own music, to be able to advertise it, and to be able to make little videos and things like that. But I suppose ultimately make it as fun as possible for yourself and make it as close to your own values as you possibly can too.
Do you have a message for the world? If so, what is that message?
I think probably not taking anything too seriously. Yeah, which is pretty rich coming from me because I take everything very seriously. But I think, as I was saying before, when you catch yourself being all caught up in one particular part, then that's when things can become stuck. So I suppose ultimately surrender and not taking anything too seriously.
Coming up on our final song, we have Hymnal Hymn by Velvet Vulva.
Okay, so this is the only Velvet Vulva track that I've released, and the last thing that I released just slightly earlier this year. So I suppose it's a bit more of a revisit to my old style of writing and my own way of singing. So the voice is a lot more like cute and reverby and almost kind of like hidden within the music. And yeah, I wrote it on a little keyboard with this amazing reverb pedal that's very like kind of haunting. And then I would hope wouldn't be out of place in some sort of David Lynch monstrosity.
What is the meaning of life?
I think it is to create. I think that we're the meaning of life, or definitely the most enhancing and life enriching process, is to constantly being evolving and creating.
Pineapple on pizza?
No way. No, it's disgusting. That's disgusting. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan.
What do you think about AI, artificial intelligence, not artist interview, in art, like in our music or the visual arts?
That's also disgusting. Yeah. I just, no, absolutely not. And it's concerning. And I think even as a musician, even more so, the AI in music is just, yeah, it's awful and horrific. And I just couldn't, I don't understand how anybody could create music with any kind of, I don't know, authenticity, but also just with any kind of self-awareness that they could pass that off as music. And anybody that would want to listen to that is pretty honking. And it's sad and concerning. And if, yeah, it's just, you can't, it's not music then if it's AI music, because it's not real at the end of the day. And I would much rather listen to a bus reversing over and over again, because at least that would be real.
Well, Claire, thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you to all of our listeners, and have a wonderful day.
Cheers. Thanks so much.